Well, here we are, folks, the Sunday edition of Freedomlink Radio, and it just so happens to be the 10th anniversary of 9/11. My name's Joe Joseph. Alongside me is Gwen Caldwell and John King. Guys, lots of fear-mongering going on up in the weeks leading up to 9/11, and it's kind of disturbing just how many people are actually taking it all in and just loving it long time. What do you guys think about it?
Go ahead, John.
John?
John? I think it's crazy. It's ridiculous.
Oh, it is ridiculous. Absolutely. And what bothers me even more is you've got people like Janet Napolitano and Tom Ridge before her that would come on, and speak of all these. Well, we have these leads, and there's a possible terrorists in there, and they're U.S. citizens. And they make it clear. Oh, yes, they're U.S. citizens now. See, it used to be that they were Muslims. Well, that played the role for a good enough period of time. But now the threat, of course, is all the right-wing extremists out there that are out to do evil bidding to take down the courageous American government. And, it's like Vice President Joe Biden said today. Well, I think this incident has forged a new, stronger type of patriot, right? Isn't that right, Gwen? Something along that line?
Yes, but, when they say it's U.S. citizens, I think they're calling it right on the money because, as we've talked about on this show many times, who are the U.S. citizens? Those in Washington, D.C., in the nation's corporation state. So, it's it's the only thing they're telling the truth about, really.
John, we were asking for your input earlier, but somebody was tardy getting to the show. So by all means, go ahead.
Well, I hear all this left-wing extremists, right-wing extremists, and I just was sitting here thinking, if you're a hardcore person that travels down the middle of the road, would that make you an ambidextrous extremist?
You could be, like a jack of all trades, if you will. But my question to you guys is, knowing full well that 9/11 did not go down the way that they said it did, and by the way, James Corbett, what a fantastic job you did putting out that little 9/11 conspiracy video on YouTube.
That was a thumbs up moly. And 10 stars, man. That kicked it.
I mean, really, he takes all this information that the truth movement has to offer, and everything that the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth have to offer, and everything that we talk about all the time, whether it be on this show or all the other alternative media outlets out there, and he puts it into this 4-minute and 40-second video, and it's just so hard-hitting and so entertaining, but so effective. What a piece of truth propaganda when it all comes down to it, You just can't help yourself but just be totally amazed at the creativity and the type of message that he put across so effectively in such a short period of time. So my hat's off to you, Mr. Corbett, for doing such a fantastic job on that. And I also want to recognize another YouTuber out there that brought this to my attention, and it was David 1131113 or something like that. But Dave, you know who you are, and I'm going to put this in the chat room for people to see. But this is a 1960. Anybody remembers the old national anthem that they used to play at the end of the network time at night? So you'd have your major networks, because this is before cable TV. And, they wouldn't run 24/7. So at the end of their broadcast night, typically after like Johnny Carson or something like that, sometimes even the 11 o'clock news, they would play a video with the national anthem on it. And this particular video that I put in the chat room, and for the YouTube archive, I'll make sure I put a link to this in the description box, is one of those videos, or one of these blurbs, the national anthem that they played at the end of the night. But somebody had somebody must have caught something in their eye and they slowed it down. And the subliminal messaging in this video is absolutely stunning. Some of the messages that you'll see as the words go across the bottom of the screen, and this is the lyrics of the national anthem, as they're changing from one verse to the other, the messages: trust the government. God is real. God is watching. Believe in government God. Rebellion is not tolerated. Trust the U.S. government. God is real. Believe in government God. Rebellion is not tolerated. It goes through that again. Obey, consume, worship, consume, believe, and do not question government God. And there could be a few others, but but those are the main messages. And it was absolutely stunning. That was 50 years ago. That was in the 60s. So if they're able to do that in the 60s, and now, I mean, I have a better idea now why my folks were so fleeced for so long, then what the hell are they doing to us now? That's
Joe,
my
you're
right.
going to have to speak up, Joe. I can't hear you. I can't hear you over the tin foil I have over my headphones. the government is beaming that stuff into my head via Blog Talk Radio and this channel, Joe. Speak up, please.
Go ahead, Gwen.
Well, really, when you look at the minimal technology that they had then compared to what they have now, and all the movies and everything, even the product, I've noticed a lot of products being shown in the movies and things like that, things that have aspartame in them and that kind of thing,
Right. I mean, there's so many weapons at their disposal. And, where I beg to differ is the technology. They had tremendous technology in the 60s. It wasn't available to us at the time, but they had tremendous technology. Let's just put this in perspective for 1 second, okay? HARP is based off of what kind of technology? Tesla technology, right? Tesla had the ability over 100 years ago to split the earth in two with his death ray. I mean, that's pretty damn fascinating if you ask me, considering that was 100 years ago. I mean, we were just alternating current was brand new, and this guy could crack the earth in two with it. I mean, that's right. Nuts. So, I mean, they had a lot of technology at their disposal, and right around that time, they were doing, testing chemical weapons on the public in the 60s and the 70s without them knowing. You had MK Ultra and programs like that, and you have this is pervasive in government. It permeates. It's there all the time. So
they've been evil for a long time, Joe.
Absolutely. So my question to folks out there that believe the official story of 9/11 as it happened, how do you do that when you've been lied to so many times in the past at so many different occasions? And then, of course, life experience really means a lot in this situation, and I can understand why a lot of people are fleeced over. But in my life experience, I've noticed a gradual progression of just how blatant the lies are becoming.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, so what do you think about that, guys?
Well, I agree. I just think that, when we talk about fear mongering, I think there's a difference between looking realistically at what's going on and assessing it with the accurate data that you can verify, and not getting into the whole lie thing,
Right. So when we come back, we're just getting started, folks. When we come back, we'll have more Freedom Link Radio. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. Anybody that wants to shoot us an email, a question, a comment, if you have any guest suggestions, anything like that, the Freedomlink at CenturyLink.net is our email. Again, it's Gwen Caldwell, John King, and myself, Joe Joseph here. And, we were talking about the fear-mongering. We were talking about how can people possibly at this point trust the government after the lie upon lie upon lie upon lie upon lie. And it just absolutely amazes me. And, one thing that I remember very distinctly, something that stands out in my mind, Gwen, was the towers had fell, and they put the EPA, and Bush's EPA person at the time was Christy Whitman, who used to be the former governor of New Jersey, and she comes on and says the air is safe to breathe. We've got air monitors posted at every street corner, and as you can see right here, there's nothing here and everything else. But how does buildings built in the late 60s, early 70s, how do they not have all that asbestos just go poof into the air, and whatever other chemicals they had or materials they used in making the World Trade Center? And then look at 10 years later, how all of a sudden it's like I was saying to myself, good Lord, as much as I'd like to go down there and help out, I know the air's not safe to breathe, and I just ain't going to happen. And look at this, dropping like flies now. All these first responders dropping like flies. And then knowing what they did, Gwen, they shunned them at this 10th anniversary.
Oh, I tell you what, now that chaps me. That was just unbelievable to me.
Why don't they go into court, right? Just take that footage. That video footage of Christy Whitman. Oh, the air is safe to breathe. And these flocks of first responders going down there. Why can't they just take that into court and say, look, the U.S. government is liable for this. They went and they said the air is safe to breathe. Why? Well, of course, number one being they didn't want the economy to collapse. And if New York goes down for an extended period of time, I'm sure that's going to have a detrimental effect on the national economy. But also all of the work that was going on. I mean, they needed them, and I understand that. But to lie about that, I mean, they're liable and responsible for that. I mean, how in the people?
Yeah, what do you think?
She should be. I mean, it's equivalent to war crimes. How many people have died because of that, and how many people are dying or will die in the future because of what happened? How many people live in New York City?
Right.
I'm sure, hey, there's asbestos flying all over the place. Get the hell out. I'm sure it would have been mass exodus. But that doesn't fit the agenda now, does it?
Well, no, because their agenda is, mass extinction of the planet.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. But I mean, why? Why do people believe it? They've flat out come out and said, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, that didn't go down the way it went. We just needed to use that to get us into Vietnam. President Johnson wanted to send 100,000 more troops, and he didn't quite have the will of the American people behind him. So what better way is it to rally the troops and rally the people than to attack ourselves?
Well, and then just this last week, Obama sends to the he signed that another year of the emergency, whatever they call it, the Emergency Act, so that we're still under martial law, basically, because of 9/11. And we have not had one credible terrorist threat that did not derive from the government itself.
Right, or a pair of underwear, which were government-owned skivvies. Right, which were government-owned skivvies. So we get to give up
another year of freedom, another year of the Patriot Act, another year of fear-mongering from these lying criminal pieces of crap that wouldn't know the truth if it hit them in the head.
Right, but it gets worse. It gets worse because every year it gets progressively worse. You're right. Every year they quietly renew the Patriot Act, the Emergency War Powers Act, all of this kind of stuff they do and relative